Well, hello there. Welcome back to AWS Reinforce 2024 here in Philly, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Kyle Dickinson, joined by the esteemed, amazing, awesome, and epic Jasmine Kyles.
Kyle, that is a very solid intro.
Thank you. I've been working on it for like the last 1 second.
For the last 1 second.
Yeah. But hey, I'm super excited because, well, security is what I do. Security is what this conference is for. But we're also joined by someone where security is in their blood. Sorry, I'm just getting weird on the third day of Reinforce, but you know what? Let's just keep it rolling, baby. So we are joined by who are you? Why are you here on our stage?
My name is Chris Smith, and not only is security in my blood, but also I was born here in the King of Prussia area, Norristown.
Wow.
So I have a lot of things in my blood here.
Okay, local, is it Philly cheesesteaks and cheese whiz?
It's always Philly cheesesteaks and cheese whiz.
Awesome.
Nice. Chris, so you're at Palo Alto. What is your role?
I'm SVP and President for Prisma Cloud.
Okay.
And my charter is to grow and serve our customers, obviously. And if that's going well and we're serving our customers and getting value from our solutions, then my jokes are funny and everyone's happy.
Well, and I mean, the cloud security space is so awesome. I mean, I'm biased, but can you just explain Prisma Cloud for those that might not be familiar with it, but those that are, hey, welcome to the recap of what Prisma Cloud is. What is Prisma Cloud?
Sure. So Prisma Cloud is really paralleled with the market, which is CNAPP, which it doesn't sound great when I say it forwards, but I'll do that first. It says Cloud Native Application Protection Platform.
Okay.
That's Gartner's fault, not mine. But if you reverse it and you say it backward, it makes things a lot more clear. It says that you have to have a platform. There's relevancy to that. That platform needs to do protection. Protection, that's key. For what? Applications. Which ones? The ones in Cloud Native. And what I really just described is a portion of what Prisma Cloud is. But to really describe what Prisma Cloud is becoming, I have to say that CNAPP is actually growing outside of just CNAPP. And what I mean by that is CNAPP as a space has been conflated with visibility. Visibility of my applications. Where are they? What are they doing? What are they talking to? Where are my priorities relative to vulnerabilities? How do I categorize them? And then once I've seen them, I lost something. What did I lose? Plausible deniability. I now need to do something about it, right? Don't we have to do something about it? And so now we actually need to do protection. So that's the last P in CNAPP. Okay, well, when we protect something, when we stop something nefarious from doing what it wants to do, exfiltrate, search, and destroy, mission in production, what do we need to do? We fix it. So now we need to go all the way back to DevOps. And so what Prisma Cloud does is we see what others don't. We stop what they can't. We have an end-to-end view when you look at vulnerabilities, and we fix faster than anyone else out there. That's really what we do within the confines of CNAPP.
You know, and I think centralizing that visibility is also important because if you're using multiple tools, but you don't have that comprehensive view, you might be losing information or context as to what the actual current status quo, not status quo, but the current status of things are going. You might be thinking, oh, hey, this is looking great, everything is green, but then another platform might be going like, like red alert, but you're not seeing that. So how is Prisma Cloud helping with like cloud native applications when it comes to the different types of technologies that customers can be using in the cloud, like from serverless to servers to infrastructure as code? I mean, there's just so many different ways to build a widget now, but that also makes it difficult for security folks because there's so many different ways to build a widget now.
So true. And securing data and applications, which are simply wrappers for that data, mission critical or business critical, is nothing new. Cloud native, this particular type of application, which people have been developing in for circa 14 plus years, this is the new part. So no surprise, this was a nascent market if you look back 4 years ago. And what happens in a nascent market that has hyper growth is that there are usually a terrific amount of different technologies that are built at different stages with very unique views, scanning technologies, and they get bought for specific teams. And that's exactly what's happened here.
Yeah.
To double click on that, what I mean is you often have DevSecOps folks that are using scanning technology for third-party SBOM source code. And they get one version of what the truth is from a vulnerability perspective, but they see it at the beginning. And then if you have people who are, you could call them cloud engineers or cloud experts, they are using different technologies. And then if you have the people in production, guess what they're using? Different technologies. And we had a problem here. The problem was communication already.
Yeah.
So now it becomes exacerbated because they've bought all these different technologies that don't speak to each other. So one of the things that people get when they do business with Prisma Cloud, we call it platformization, is they get one version of the truth. They get one contract from one vendor.
Okay. And so you've worked to bring it all together, right? You're breaking down that communication in between all of the different tools, but all of these different types of teams as well. So you're bringing it into one place.
That's right, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's not. There's a journey to have the best solution in specific areas. Then there's another journey to bring disparate teams that see things very differently and often disagree, right? Don't they?
Kyle's laughing because he has these disagreements.
That's right, and they're oftentimes very valid. But what you want people doing is looking at the same version of the truth and at least using the same scanning technology. And so putting that together is actually a pretty intricate component of it. And we've been doing that for 4 years. So.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I remember a time, the darkest times. No, prior to my era at AWS, I was responsible for creating that visibility and the protections and the discovery of the cloud environment. And so when you're seeing the different technologies that don't talk to each other, it really brings back the cold sweats and tears, because those were difficult times. Because also you think about, if you have all of these tools that are doing the same thing, like describing the environment, you start running into silly things like API throttle limiting, because you're doing all these describes, all these different platforms are doing it, but it's going to also kind of mess up things if you can't, have a constant state of what your environment is.
That's right. And one of the things that we often hear is, people don't want to scan for the sake of scanning. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I can't wait to scan. Well, maybe some do.
I do.
Okay, you do. But if we roll up to the C-suite, right, they think scanning as a means to an end, right?
Right.
And most people, and I think you'd agree with this piece, they don't want more vulnerabilities. They want more actionable intelligence.
Yeah.
And they want the vulnerabilities that they are getting to be legitimate, especially when you're going to bring those vulnerabilities back to DevOps and say, this is legitimate, we need to act. Because there's a credibility challenge, right? And there's a lot of alert fatigue, and this happens especially because we have all these different solutions. So, if you look at precision AI, and we can't have a conversation without talking about what used to be called machine learning, right? But if you look at precision AI, what are we trying to do? We're trying to look at known and unknown heuristics of attacks, internal and external to a company. Whether that's the network, whether that's the cloud, whether that's the endpoint, we want to bring those together, and there should be a healthy accelerated learning curve to that to be able to find that proverbial needle in the needle stack. Why? Because people don't, I hear it all the time, when we're talking about other folks that are using technologies, and they say, I have a stack of vulnerabilities. And yes, I've been able to categorize them. And yes, I have what Sev 1, 2, and 3 is. Wonderful. The Sev 1 you should see. It's as tall as the Empire State Building. What do I do with it? And that's really what we're relying on precision AI to do for us.
Yeah. When you're looking at some of these and you're going through this stuff with customers, what's your ideal type of customer? Who are you working with?
So they're very different in certain ways. So if you look at just high level, the macros of serving a cybersecurity market, you're going to obviously say the FinServ market is a strong angle. So is the federal government. These are two organizations that are staffed to do really good things with technology and protect the data that they have for their companies. The derivatives of that, of course, are going to be insurance, et cetera. But there's a new market born out of what's happened with cloud native. We call it born in the cloud companies.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because these born in the cloud companies, the way they're going to conduct Congress and have credibility is by showing their prospective customers or existing customers that the data that they're taking in is secure. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes a way for them to get from hello to PO, and they're willing to spend proportionate to what they're doing as a company a huge amount of money to solve the problem.
And one thing that I always think about when it comes to securing applications is also just how easy is it to bring into your environment and then operationalize it? What's going to be the return value? I'm not a salesperson by any stretch of the imagination.
What's that ROI?
ROI,
return
there
on
we go,
investment.
ROI,
Chris
the-
is saying they're willing to pay absorbent
Yeah.
amounts of money to get in there, right? When
Yeah,
they're cloud
proportionally.
native,
Yeah.
they're cloud native, they want to be secure on day one and be able to show that to their customers.
Yeah. Oh, and quick shout out. We are live, friends. So if you do have a question, I mean, when was the last time you talked to a senior vice president of sales at a very large company? Here's your opportunity to do that. So ask away your questions in the chat, and we will get them answered as we can. But also, by the way, we are with our friend from Palo Alto Networks talking about cloud security and Prisma Cloud specifically, which I've just seen like over the years become a bigger and bigger and more intricate platform to help securing workloads within an AWS environment, which is really neat. I'm biased, though. I like security stuff.
Yes. Hey, I do too. I've been doing this for 22 years. We were in security when security wasn't cool. Remember that? And now it's cool. It's been cool for a while. It was always cool, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would say that's also happening, so we talked about CNAPP, and we talked about Prisma Cloud, but there's a lot of pressure that is not necessarily security that could introduce security risks if not done right. And what I mean by that is, you know, when the macroeconomic headwinds are strong, and not in a good way, headwinds, not tailwinds, people want to consolidate. And so what's happening now is, you know, people have bought a lot of different point solutions. They're pervasive throughout the organization, and not just cloud, but also network and endpoint. And so now people are wanting to consolidate. Well, people also don't like agents. I had one prospect say to me, I have more agents than the IRS. I don't want one more. So what we're seeing is there's a lot of consolidation between endpoint, which is an agent, SOAR, the SOAR market, we call it XOR, which is an agent, and CWP, which is an agent. So we've actually consolidated those agents. And what's interesting about CNAPP as a market in cloud is it's become bigger than just cloud. There are companies, if you could believe it, that are saying that they want to be the SIM for data in CNAPP, so the SIM for CNAPP. Why in the world does a company want more than one SIM? And so what we're saying is, hey, like data, whether it's network, whether it's endpoint, whether it's cloud, that data needs to be in the SOC. And for us, this is XIM. And you know, the SOC needs to work in concert with the people who own the data, own the application, so that they can run their business and protect the brand, right? Well, guess what? A lot of the people in cloud don't necessarily understand traditional cybersecurity. And traditional cybersecurity-ists, I think that's a word, don't always
We make up
understand
words
cloud.
here all the time,
We do,
so it's
right?
okay.
Because we're cool.
Yeah.
We could do that. So, you know, the thing is, like, to be able to share that data into the SOC, and then for the SOC to be able to say, hey, what is happening with my applications? What is happening with the data of my applications, whether it's network, whether it's cloud, or whether it's endpoint, we think is really powerful. And, you know, selfish plug for Palo Alto, we are the only company that has already brought these things together. And I think that this is really where the market's going to be for the next, 5 to 7 years.
You know, and I think you touched on something where the data should remain in the SOC. We've also seen like a lot of use cases where the security teams will own all these like observation tools, but then they're also allowing the developers to use these as feedback loops in their DevSecOps, SecDevOps, however you want to splice it, DevOps processes, right? To where they understand, instead of security going, hey, you did this wrong, fix it, we could say, hey, you're doing it wrong as they're typing it out on their keyboard, right? And so I've seen where platforms like Prisma Cloud could help introduce that feedback loop to kind of highlight the systemic issues before they even become a problem.
Well, so you actually touched on something that is probably one of the number 3 or 4 reasons people do business with us. You know, when you see something that you think is nefarious, so you've been alerted, it's in production, which means it's high probability, and you want to stop it, great, we have the ability to do that. But what happens after you stop it? Do we go get coffee? Do we go to Starbucks? No, we actually have to fix it, right? Well, there's a jurisdiction issue a lot of times for the security folks when you have to go back to where is it fixed? It's fixed in the code, or third party or SBOM, and so now you're going back to DevOps. And so what we're able to give security is the ability to say, this is the developer that entered that specific thing that needs to be fixed, this is the date, and this is the line of code. And what that does is it fosters a much better relationship between shift left, we call it DevOps, shift left, and protect right.
Yeah, and it makes it more efficient, right? You're not spending that time figuring out who did it, when, where, why. It's already there because Prisma Cloud has told them that it's there, and it makes for efficiency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
What excites you about cloud security in the year 2024?
So what I like is, and you know, our market does this. We're either at a point where we're bringing things together or we're expanding. And it seems like you go back to the macroeconomics, when times are great, people can afford to bring in technologies, staff them, sometimes science projects, but maybe they think they're best of breed, whatever they call them. And so there's a glut of those technologies out there. You've all seen the reports. There's a lot of cybersecurity companies that will not be around, whether it's 2024 or 2025, but certainly the next 18 months. And so what I'm really excited about is the ability to bring disparate organizations that, in my strong opinion, need to be brought together. Network needs to be brought together with cloud, needs to be brought together with endpoint. There needs to be, I think, more commonality in the way they're protecting data and protecting applications in these three different areas. And we call this platformization. I can tell you that the biggest fanfare we're getting now is because of our ability to bring all those things together and to offer it in one version of truth from one company. I think that's going to explode as the macroeconomics, and I'm not a doomsday guy, I'm a very positive guy, but as the macroeconomics, I think it may be a little bit tighter. I think that's where people are directionally going to go.
That's an interesting perspective to have. You're not a doomsday guy, but you think that it's going to kind of scale back a little bit.
I think that it has to. If you look at, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with technology, but it certainly drives technology. If you look at the investment community, they essentially shut the faucets off 18 months ago to most investments. And if you look at the companies that are, all around us, you're not some of the larger ones, but some of the smaller ones, none of them are making money. It's a very rare thing when you see a scale-up or a startup that makes money. So if you're not making money and people are moving away from point solutions, and most of these companies are, in fact, point solutions, that's going to be a tough road, I think. And so you're going to see massive consolidation. Massive consolidation is a great opportunity for us. It's also a great opportunity for the people that have voted with their dollars and trust for us to protect their brand. Because now they start to get excellence in visibility and excellence in bringing different areas of security together. So I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. What are some of the things that Palo Alto Networks are doing today to meet those customers where they are in these changing environments?
Funny you say that. That's a phraseology that I use a lot. We meet them where they are today, and we grow with them on the journey of where they're going to secure their brand and their data. So what we do that's unique for us is that we give people the ability to use credits. What does credits mean? It means if you're looking today specifically for visibility, we protect the investment you made in visibility, and you can now stretch that into, hey, I didn't just see things, I actually stopped in production. And so they're able to use those credits. Think of almost like a check-in, check-out in the old days. And so and if they are decrementing their use of a certain technology, those credits apply to different technologies. And so when you got a platform, that gives people a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. And I have to do this. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are you in the AWS Marketplace?
Of course we are. Who isn't?
Well, you'd be surprised, but I'm glad that you are.
Yeah, and you know why. So plug back for AWS. We know that this really serves our customers. You have terrific relationships with them. It frees up some of the contractual challenges that they face. It frees up part of the, hey, I really want this technology and I need it, but I don't have time to go track down the budget. I don't have time to go wait a year before I got my budget approved. And so we get to work with it. We do a terrific amount of business with AWS in the marketplace.
Yeah, and so that means that you have your own marketplace listing page where customers can go in and say, okay, what is it that Prisma Cloud is offering? What are the greater offerings across all of Palo Alto Networks that I could go in, push a couple of buttons, and I can buy it today? Or I can get connected with you as the salesperson and your sales team. I may be able to draft a future dated agreement, which is similar to the credits that you're doing.
That's right. Simplicity is today's elegance.
I love it. That's a good. You might have to put that on a shirt or something.
The amount of shirts that we've made just based on sayings up on this stage is hilarious.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Chris, are you driving any thought leadership these days?
Well, I think, if you look at precision AI, and everyone talks about AI, and I know that it used to be called machine learning, and I know everybody has to talk about AI, but one of the things that's unique about us is we don't just sell technology. We have a division called Unit 42, and what Unit 42 does, we've got honeypots all over the world. So what? Well, we know what they do. You can see the heuristic of attacks, what the adversary is going after, data, specific paths they're going at you pop an endpoint for the endpoint. That's not the real estate you want, right? It's a means to an end. So now we see the heuristics of attacks globally. Okay, so what do you do with AI? Well, you now take that and you can use AI to distill out the things that are meaningless, back to actionable intel, bring that directly back to the platform and harden the platform from unknown in the wild in real time. And that gets really, really exciting. So we're not just talking about known things where there's a CVE. We're talking about unknown in the wild, in real time, leveraging AI to do it.
Yeah. What does that mean to you, Kyle, as a security person?
As a security person, that means that we're able to make more actionable detections and alerts and actually not have to spin up an entire incident response process for something that may not necessarily be the most important thing that's firing off at the moment. We hear the terms lowering the signal-to-noise ratio and creating higher fidelity alerts, but also like a lot of churn and burn and alert fatigue is a real thing in security operations centers where you got a buzzer going off on something that's supposed to be high impact, but it's a false positive. It's like, well, how many resources did we just spin up to address something that's not even a risk in our environment? And you talk about essentially doing more with less. Resources are scarce. Time is a scarce resource, and so is hands on keyboard. So I think it's just going to change how incident response can be done, and also the fine tuning. Because you also touched on it too. You turn on a detection platform in any environment, it's going to show red, and people feel like they need to boil the ocean and like, oh, we got to get rid of all the red. No, you got to look at the context of what are these different findings, and I think you also touched on that too, to help prioritize the red, right? Instead of trying to boil the ocean again, you're prioritizing and then creating a plan going forward to what could actually impact you versus just something that says, hey, you can be impacted. No, is this actually something that could?
I like that. And then we dropped something in our chat here about health checks. Can you tell us about that?
And when you say health checks, what do you mean by health checks?
So we have from here, someone is asking about, someone asked for a job. So that's always the biggest amount of flattery they want to get into. They want to get into cybersecurity. Any pro tips for that?
Well, I mean, crypto, if they're in the military, is a great way to get in. There are also some great universities.
He's not mentioned. He's not cryptocurrent.
No. Cryptology.
Cryptology.
Yes, cryptology. Not crypto. Thank you for that. Yes, it used to be able to say crypto. Now you have to define what it is. There are great universities that have great programs. I think most colleges have good programs on that. What I would say is you don't have to be proficient at everything. Find something you're passionate about and be great at that.
Yeah.
We're also being asked, okay, do you and the team there want to be my friends? Of course we'll be your friends. Give us a follow, smack that like button, or whatever they say on the internet now.
Chris has already said find him on LinkedIn.
Yes.
We'll see if we can drop that in the chat. You'll get lots of friends. We have
we love it.
A few thousand people watching.
And you'll need to actually put my URL in there because there's a lot of Chris Smiths in this world, if you could believe that.
Oh, wow.
I would have never,
have guessed, right?
Never have guessed that. So we're coming up on the end of our segment here. I always ask, what are your parting words? Where do you want people to go to get started?
Well, I think this is, if I want to leave people with, like, what do we do? Because of the breadth of what we do, we see what nobody else can see relative to attacks. Okay, great. We distill those down to actionable intel. Great. We don't even just see what others don't, but we're able to stop what they can't because we do what we do in production, and we fix faster than anyone. We're taking 6-day on average mean times down to hours.
Wow.
And because we are a larger company and we take the data that we have and we push this up into XIM, we have the ability to broker a much better working relationship between the cloud and the SOC, and I think that's exactly where it's going. And what I would say is, we talk about platform a lot, but it's not an all or nothing. You said it earlier, and I'm so happy you did. We will meet you where you're at today in your security journey, and we'll work with you on the path you're going, and we will offer a mechanism for you to be able to not just protect the data that you have, your applications, but also protect the investments that you made with us along the way.
I like it.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing where Palo Alto goes in the next coming years with cloud security and bridging the gap and breaking down the walls between teams.
Yeah.
Strangely and oddly, I am as well.
Well, that's good. All right. This has been AWS On Air. This has been our guest, Chris Smith from Palo Alto Networks, talking to you about the Prisma Cloud. I'm Jasmine. This is Kyle. This has been AWS On Air, and stay tuned for more.